I don't have any tooth. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're partying with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got two teams that got me gassed up. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Be like two dogs fighting over a milk bucket.
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the group of 5 this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. I could easily list off the top group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that?
Welcome in, everybody. What a week 1 of action we had this past weekend. A lot of heartbreakers, a lot of really good football across the board. Group of 5 guys here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Group of 5 guys. I think all of us have a little bit of hoarse voices, so we're going to try to grind our way through this show. We're going to recap a little bit of week 1, preview a little bit of week 2, talk about teams and players to watch who had best performances, potential worst performances. We're going to recap our trip to App State, which we could do an entire day on that. And then Murph's going to give us a little recap on his evening game at James Madison. They got a big win in their first ever FBS home game. So we'll go around the horn real fast. We are down Zeke Anderson again. Everything's good this time. He's just hanging out with family for Labor Day. Jess, go to you first. How are you?
Man, I'm good, Sprouse. I got to tell you, it's like a bittersweet show. Sweetness part is just having a phenomenal weekend in Boone, North Carolina. It's really hard to beat, man. As a grown adult who has been following football his whole life and going to a lot of campuses and experiencing some pretty big games, playing in big games and actually, going to a lot of games as a kid and seeing some freaking just, knockdown dragouts. That was one of the most fun games I've ever seen at App State. Not the outcome we wanted, but man, like I'm just honored and glad that I can always be like, hey, I was at that game when I saw Chase Bryce throw 6 touchdowns and 3 of them came in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left to go the game. Like it was fun. But the bitter part of it is, you can't be positive all the time, guys. I feel like the group of 5 just did not have a good showing. I thought that, last year we won 5 games and it was only one. We had one Power 5 win in this week 1. Maybe we're due for week 2, but we'll get into it. But it's a bittersweet Monday, Sprouse.
I agree with you. Yeah, I had a bunch of family and friends that, truthfully aren't big group of 5 football fans were texting me like, damn, dude, you're at this game. And I was like, it is the wildest game I've ever seen. I mean, it just unbelievable. But we'll get to it a little bit more. Tip, I know you're hanging in there with your voice. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm a little hoarse from cheering App State on at that game. I mirror everything Jesse said. We were talking about it after that game. Obviously not the outcome we wanted as a group of 5 and App State fans, but one of, if not the best college football game I've ever attended. Was just so fun to watch and to see just the roller coaster of emotions and just the back and forth of that game that went on that entire game. It was just so fun to watch and so incredible to be a part of with the incredible fans, the atmosphere. It was so awesome. I can't wait for us to talk about it more in detail and to talk about these week 1 games and looking forward to week 2 this weekend.
No question about it.
Sprouse, let me give Tyler Tipton some credit here. I'll diss on myself. Probably 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
I was already ready to leave the game because it was like a 14 or 17 point game, and I was like, "Hey, it's over." And Tip just looks at me and goes, "No." He says, we still got a shot. And by God, there was a shot. There were about 4 or 5 shots.
Couple more shots, yeah. Yeah. Well, Murph, unfortunately for you, you had to bounce to go do your duties up at James Madison, but you missed one hell of one, but you did get to, experience the pregame. But how are you this evening?
Man, I couldn't be better. Fantastic, weekend trip. Friday night was awesome. We got to meet up with a bunch of people that, we met last year. Stu's Wright, Trip Miller, all that crew, and then got to see pretty much everybody. I think we had a couple people we did unfortunately miss Saturday morning at the tailgates, but just appreciate all you guys, man, that welcomed us to your tailgate or welcomed us at a bar. Gave my hat away to a fantastic bartender at the end of the night, Friday night. So he was setting us up with great drinks on Friday night, and it's just a great atmosphere. My wife got to come, Scarlett. She was just like, I see now why you guys love coming to Boone. I mean, it's just an incredible atmosphere. Everybody's bought in. Walking through tailgates, just meeting all you guys. Just want to say thank you. Thank you to the App State faithful. Thank you to Coach Clark, Coach Watts, letting us come to practice Friday. You didn't have to do that. And that was awesome to get to see you guys. And they were locked in. And game didn't end up finishing, the way we wanted it to. But, I mean, you guys battled your ass off. And there's no doubt one of the best teams in the group of 5 by far. And then, got to go down to James Madison, Saturday, and got to see that, that campus. I didn't have enough time to kind of go check out all the facilities, but tailgate looked pretty good. I'll get into a full kind of review of how I feel about that, that game and that atmosphere. But yeah, college football's here. It was a great weekend. Ready to get into this next week.
Yeah, there's definitely some good games. And I'll say another thing about App State too, because I got a couple people at, it's the third time I've been to Boone. Second time we as a whole group went up there, and people are saying, why are you going to go to Boone again? Listen, Boone is an App State University is the model of group of 5 football. So I don't care what anybody says until there's, 59, 60 schools that can do what App State does week in and week out. We're going to Boone every damn year. I don't care what anybody says. But anyway, we'll get more to that too. Jesse, I know you're a little worked up this weekend. You got the Atrocious Award is back.
Yeah, it's back.
So I want to go to you. You're pissed. You're hot and heavy. What do you got?
Jeff, cue me in.
I actually don't have that soundbite, Swaggy. I'm sorry. That's on me. When you throw me curveballs with the bringing all segments back, I got to know ahead of time.
One second. It's atrocious.
That's exactly what it was.
So let's talk about a guy who gets the POS Atrocious Award, and he comes in flying on his mini jet plane, Chris Fowler. Chris Fowler, who was replaced by Reese Davis. Chris Fowler, he puts a tweet out there talking about the App State North Carolina game, and just plain and simple, it says, I know you have been watching this game. He says, I haven't been watching this game, it's a group of 5 hosting a North Carolina team, when he also disses North Carolina, saying how they're not that good because they're getting scored 60 plus points on by a group of 5 school. Chris Fowler, they're the same guys, like little brother, big brother. They're both pieces of crap. Chris Fowler here wants to talk about, his Alabamas, his Ohio States, his Notre Dame's, USC's, his Texas's. He doesn't want to talk about the group of 5 schools. He's literally the prime example of China. He's literally free marketing, trying to say, hey guys, we don't care about this team. We care about the big guys. And it's poison. It's poison for college football. Boone, North Carolina, what we experienced this past weekend, it's real college football, like Sprouse has already said. I'm not going to weigh in too much on that, but I will tell you this. I watched the game last night. I saw LSU. I saw who was the other team?
Florida State.
Oh, sorry, Florida
Exactly.
State. Yeah, it was a great game. No, it was phenomenal. It was great. I enjoyed it to the fourth quarter. App State, North Carolina. If that game would have been, let's say, UCLA versus USC, they would say that game was better than LSU and Florida State. The North Carolina App State game was probably a top game ever to be televised, and we're going to say we know you're not watching this game. They're the problem. ESPN's the problem. ESPN's doing these preseason rankings, and they're trying to formulate their own little model of saying, like, okay, well, because of who's ranked here in the preseason, they made the preseason rankings. They did the preseason rankings. They are their own poison. So I cannot stand it. Chris Fowler, that was the worst tweet you probably ever done. You are now in the criteria with Lee Corso and Brandon Walker. Congratulations. You now have the Atrocious Award, Chris Fowler.
I mean, yeah, congratulations.
It's atrocious.
Very
It's
prestigious award that not a lot of people can get into that club. But you're right, dude.
I used to like Chris Fowler.
I was
really
just
did.
Gonna say
and
that.
Then why do you have to put that part of the tweet in? We
Right.
know you're not watching this game. Why would you? It was on national television. Yep. It was on
Why not just say it was on ESPNU? It was on their network.
Every person that was. I literally got like 5 text messages from people from 3 different states saying, "Wow, so jealous you're at this game." Yep. They're obviously watching it, Chris. They're watching it.
Yep.
Now, just because you're freaking, I don't even know who. I don't know what Power 5 teams play at 12 o'clock, but he expects you to watch that game and not the Group of 5 games.
Well, I'm fairly certain that the ECU NC State game was on ESPN primary, and App State North Carolina was on ESPNU. So you're just saying like, hey, even though these games are on our network, I know you're not watching because nobody cares about this stuff. It's like, dude, I mean, grow up, man, because they both had ample opportunities to beat the hell out of the 2 big dogs in the state of North Carolina. And,
that's part of but the Atrocious Award part 2, we preach on this on a year in, year out basis, but like, I cannot stand wow, well, we played a good game, we won morally, we won. At least we didn't get beat by 14 or 15 or 21 points. We should have won that game. If you're a kicker and you are at fall camp for 4 weeks and you just have to worry about getting PATs, you better make that damn PAT, son. I mean, that's your job. It was a good snap, good hold, make the kick. I'm not here to hate on the guy saying like, I'm not going to shoot his name out, but he had 2 opportunities. Make the kick, man. Make the kick.
I wish Zeke was on, and Tip, maybe you can answer this, because on the extra point, right after he kicked it, he like looked down at the holder, and I didn't, because we were at the app game, so I didn't get to watch it live or a bunch. But was it a good snap and a good hold?
I honestly didn't notice that part when I first saw the replay. The very first thing I noticed, so he was a right-footed kicker, of how open his hips were when he made contact with that ball. It was pointing directly where he kicked it, to the left of the goalpost. That's the very first thing I noticed. It could have been something maybe with the timing, or certain kickers like the football angled a certain way by the holder, or it could have been something like that, or like a little backward lean to the ball or something. So it could have been some minor detail like that that the holder didn't do, but nothing that I know.
As an offensive lineman, though, it does drive me crazy. If it would have been like a 45-yarder or a 55-yarder or something like that, I'd give it more. And Jeff, I know I'm probably being a jerk, but you had a PAT, and then it was like a 35-yard field goal. You practice that all year. That's the only thing you practice in kickoff.
Kickers are just so they're so finicky, everything has to be just right. So I don't know. He looked right down like something was wrong. I mean, could have been shades of Ray Finkel where the laces were in. And it just pulled it, but
Jeff, every time I get Jeff, when I get called for holding, I look at my hands. I'm always like,
I'm with you. You got to make that kick in a high pressure situation. But going back to real quick, I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I don't even remember who UCLA was playing, but I saw a screenshot of UCLA, and then you see the screenshot of Boone, and it's just like, so you're saying they should be watching these Power 5 games, but yet nobody's at that game in Pasadena. But yet Boone is packed to the brim, brought in an extra 10,000 seats, sold out crowd. Like,
it's
just
like
getting new material. It's old.
People.
It's old.
They're convincing people, hey, we know you're not watching this game because we don't care either. It's atrocious. It's atrocious.
It is.
Yeah, man. I'll say on a more positive note though, I got this feeling that the Group of 5 fans, and we know especially in the Sun Belt, they've been on it. This first week 0 and week 1, these student sections have been cranked up. And I know, I mean, maybe I'm just seeing Boone and ECU and Utah State, Fresno State. Fresno State didn't they sell the most tickets in the state of California this weekend? Or maybe they were the second or third.
They had to be up there. I'd have to look that number up, but I know it was packed for sure.
Yeah. So I think it's typical in what's going on in the national media with sports and with everything. It's like I think the people are tired of it. The people are tired of just the bias and like the idiotic comments. I mean, you're calling out 60 plus teams like nobody should care about them, and people that went to school there, and you got guys all over the NFL that have played at these schools that are now Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers. Like get over it, because I'll tell you this: App State would go to UCLA and beat their ass real quick. So I mean,
if he worked at the White House, he'd have to readdress that, Troy. I guarantee it.
Well, I'm with
maybe
you,
not in
Sprouse.
2022.
I think something is, bro. I think people are tired of it. They're sick of it. And guess what? There's one. I'm not going to say one, but there's one group out there that we're ready to spearhead this thing. So, like, share, retweet. Let's get on the same train. Let's get on the same train. Let's take this thing to where it should be, and we'll put on the group of 5 the best that we can.
Well, let's not just mention that College Game Day is now going to a university this weekend where the game is probably going to be a 31 to 35 point blowout. Okay. Now you cannot tell me there's not a better game out there.
Oh, there's plenty. Well, what they're also going to do is unwarrantedly rank Texas this week. I can promise you that when that comes out, they'll be in the top 25 just so they can say it's a top 25 game. When you got, I know it's a Friday, but you got Louisville at UCF, you got Oregon State at Fresno State. I mean, Oregon, that's a great game. You got Houston at Texas Tech. I mean, but God knows you can't go to a group of 5 game. I mean, that would just be uncalled for. But anyway, we definitely, I'll say this, man, meeting all those people in Boone, and we got these people calling in on the hotline now. Our DMs are riding. People are tweeting. People are fighting for it. People are joining this movement. I mean, I'll tell you what, and Jeff, if you got that hotline ready to play, we want to hear them. We got some really good voicemails, and guys, like, call in and talk this trash. We want to have all this ammo so that I want to send a tape to Chris Fowler of all the group of 5 fans that have called and roasted him after this. But call the hotline at 615-900-4286. Jeff, let's get to the ones we got this week.
All right. This first one we got, it was actually before Saturday, but a friend of ours down in San Marcos. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, this is Cream Brulee at Cream Brulee 2016 on Twitter. First off, I just want to give a huge shout out to y'all. Love your all's content. Love the good fight with the group of 5. So huge shout out to you guys. I'm a Texas State guy, and unfortunately born and raised in Texas. There's a lot of bias towards Power 5. So again, can't thank y'all enough for highlighting some of the great football in the state, specifically some of the great group of 5 football. That'd be North Texas and UTEP, and I think it's the year of the Bobcats. Watched a little bit of the Nevada game this past weekend. I think we got a chance. I think Jake Spavital, we got it going in the right direction. I know y'all visit San Marcos. It's ready to roll. Us fans, we're ready to get behind them. We're ready to go to the first bowl game in school history. I think we definitely go over that 500 mark this year, and then also I'm jacked up about group of 5 football in the state of Texas. So again, huge shout out to y'all. Thanks for highlighting Texas State. Thanks for highlighting all of group of 5, and eat them up.
What's that Steve Carell meme when he's like biting his bottom lip? Man,
I wish that call would have been last week's episode.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's week 1, but Texas State did not look good.
Y'all are so high on Texas State.
I still am. I
still am.
Yeah,
I honestly,
think they'll fix
Nevada
it.
had a week 0 prep game. That can make the biggest jumps you see a lot of times with these teams is from week 1 to week 2. So, we'll see how it goes when they get in. I mean, Nevada had that tune-up game against New Mexico State, I believe it was. So, we'll see. I still got faith in them that, the defense we said that their defense has got to be better, but I was expecting a little more out of the offense. I was going to be honest.
I'll say this, man. I mean, I know it's New Mexico State and then it's potentially a not so great Texas State team, but Nevada said you're at 2-0. And if I remember correctly, all of us were giving them the under at 2.5 in our Mountain West preview.
Sure was.
So shout out to Nevada. They're one of very few 2-0 teams in the country right now.
Yep.
I don't know where to put them at.
Yeah, Jack.
Well, game at least 4 wins. But I'll agree with what Jeff said, though. I thought it was just funny because you're so high on Texas State, but it is week one, and like I said, it's hard to. Week two, you'll see what kind of Texas State team you'll have more than likely for the rest of the year. So as long as their fans are still behind them, and as long as Creme Brulee is not going to jump off the bandwagon just because after week one, the guys when they play at home, they still need to show up, show for the guys.
Yep.
Like what Southern Miss said, that I loved that interview.
Yep.
So good.
I loved it. He's like, hey, I might have done a horrible job coaching. I mean, shit.
Y'all
Please show up for the boys at least. Do your part. Don't just complain.
Yeah. All right, so we got 2 voicemails from this next guy, and he's a guy we got to hang out with pretty much all weekend, but Stu's right, our boy.
Hey, boys. Stu's right from Twitter here. Sitting here in a hotel room waiting on Trip and Sydney to get here. I'm matter than a pissed off fire ant about that Carolina game. Just want to tell you I had a blast drinking with y'all last night and tailgating with you today. Hope I get to see you tonight. This is what it feels like to be East Carolina, and I don't like it. What's your take on all the other Group of 5 games going on today? I'm just sick to my stomach. Anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I love that guy. I'm only laughing because I know it was after a hard game.
Hell yeah,
he's been drinking and he's hot in that sun. He's sitting there and he's just like, he's pissed off. I'm gonna call him a voice.
It was like calling his therapist. He needed somebody to just talk
100%. Well, that's the raw emotion, man, of the fans of especially like App State. Like they are diehard, ride or die. Like they felt that loss damn near just as much as the players and the coaches did. So
yeah. I mean, it was a hard one. But to answer his question, if I compared to the other, like at least 80% of the Group of 5 schools that played this weekend, App State needs to hold their head up high. There's a lot of schools I feel like, showing. Hey, you didn't show up. I think App State did show up. I think both teams showed up, had a great game.
Yeah.
So
let's get to he's got another one. So let's get to the second one.
What did he say after he calmed down a little bit?
Yeah, this is the next day.
He had 2 of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Stu's right again. Just want to say I'm in a better headspace than I was last night, which is a good thing. And anybody from Appalachian's got a problem with Chase Bryce can find me on Twitter. I'll happily argue them until I'm blue in the face. Chase Bryce was exactly what we needed yesterday. Played his tail off and did everything we could have asked of him. If anybody from Appalachian that's on Twitter has a problem with Chase Bryce, they can come find me at Stu's Right. Go Avs.
Couldn't agree more.
Could not agree more.
Dude, Chase Bryce, he threw at least 3 or 4 dimes, like over the shoulder, deep balls, go routes on the sideline that you could not have like simulated a better throw. Like good coverage, just right in the breadbasket. I mean, I know what Stu's probably talking about is because people are probably looking at that missed two-point conversion. And I mean, we talked about it. Sure, he could put some air under it a little bit. Receiver shouldn't have started backpedaling, probably, sure. But you got bodies flying all over the place. I mean,
your ass would be
scored
that
60 points
for Chase Bryce, okay?
Yeah.
He threw 1 incomplete pass. Y'all realize that? Yeah. 1 incomplete pass is all he threw. He threw as many interceptions as he did incompletions. And he played his tail off, man. Sean Clark said it best. But he played awesome. And he
did.
You are down by a touchdown with what was it, 18 seconds left, and he can throw a dime on a post route and just hit him right in the chest. Fires me up, man. Yeah, I mean the second 2-point conversion, I think adrenaline was just running, and he was just trying to. It looked like Friday Night Lights when Permian was trying to win the state championship. He gets tackled right at the point.
Well, as somebody that's been pretty critical of Chase Bryce, like you're not in that game if Chase Bryce isn't playing.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and if anybody needs to take a little bit of blame and look in the mirror, I mean, defense show up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say North Carolina is that good of an offensive team, but I mean, you get 1 or 2 stops and you win the game by a touchdown.
Yep.
So, I mean, to blame Chase Bryce, in my opinion, is again every place we go to, every school we go to has a section of their fan base that honestly, and not that I know everything, but They're a little uneducated. They're a little just like hot and cold, like can't see things rational. Like Chase Bryce played a hell of a game. So if you're going to sit there and blame Chase Bryce, you're blaming the wrong guy. That's just my opinion.
If you ask any coach or fan in the country before any game, you say, hey, quarterback's going to throw 6 touchdowns, you're going to score 61 points. They'll be like, oh my God, yeah, sign me up, whoever it is. And yeah, and I mean, that's part of that too, is it's easy to look at the quarterback and you look at an incomplete pass. And I'm not saying that particular one, but if the average person's not seeing the coverage, or if a receiver ran the route a little bit wrong, or if something went wrong, all they see is incomplete, or they see interception, and they think quarterback, no matter what. So,
I real quick, I know. Give me 1 minute. There was I saw a joke on social media. Actually, it's a lie. One of my good friends, Lee Griffin, he told me this. He says if an alien were to come down to Earth and you had to explain to them college football, and you said that App State covered the over themselves for the whole game, North Carolina covered the over for the whole game by themselves, and then you told them about Iowa and San Diego State only scored 10 points total, it's all the same sport, an alien would just be like, what? Just talking about how
I'm a little bit like, what, too?
how the game is just so up and down. You have some schools that are only scoring 10 points a game. They're scoring 130 points. Both teams for App State and North Carolina, they both hit the over themselves.
Yeah.
For the whole game. That's all it was. Take that.
Well, real quick, let's just talk about the fight in that App State team, dude. Like, you're talking going into the fourth quarter, you're down 20 points. You gave up how many unanswered points did North Carolina score? Was it 38?
35? Yeah,
35, 38.
It was 21-7, and then it was 41-21, I believe.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, and that fight they had, and to come down and score to make it 14, to make it a 13-point game, and then the defense stepping up when they have. I mean, we talked about it briefly, but when they had been struggling most of the game, and they get that fumble recovery and that turnover when you needed it at the absolute, like you needed it at that time, and offense goes right back down and scores again. That answered a lot of questions I had. I mean, I knew they were going to be good, but this App State team is, and we talked about it earlier, that this is one of the top teams in all of college football. In my opinion,
they had probably 5 or 6 different chances when they could have folded and just threw in the towel, and they never did. But we got one more voicemail, don't we, Jeff?
Yep, we got one more. Yep. We got our boy Terry Johnson.
Hey, group of 5 guys. Terry Johnson, Team Money _ 72, Cajun fan, calling back again today. First of all, I just wanted to say, man, that was a great game. App versus North Carolina. Wish they could have won. Everybody in the Sun Belt was cheering for them. Also, I know Swag Bear is going to talk about Eastern Michigan versus UL this weekend. I know he's gonna pick us to lose. Can't wait to watch that game. Can't wait to see what happens. But I got faith in my Cajuns. But I just want to know your guys' thoughts on this past weekend with so many close upsets. Yeah, ODU beat Virginia Tech, but I mean, close loss at the Rock for App, which, like I said, man, shout out to North Carolina having a good quarterback that played well, but they should have won that. I feel bad for Chase Bryce and that receiver number 17. They balled out. They all got awesome out. Close loss there. Close loss for East Carolina to North Carolina State on some missed field goals. I mean, UTSA, narrowly losing to Houston at home. I know Houston is also a G5 school, but they're going to the P5, so I really don't consider Houston a G5 anymore. And then UCF or Cincinnati, so I really don't care all that much, but I kind of do. Even in Cincinnati, barely, losing by I think a touchdown to Arkansas. I know Swag Bear's favorite quarterback plays for Cincy, so I know he was sad to see that loss. And Boise State not even showing up to play Oregon State. Oregon State has been like a doormat, for G5 teams to go and upset them. And Oregon State, showing up and beating Boise. Arizona beating San Diego State, which I know San Diego State is kind of looking at the bad guys with all the stuff going on with their program. But, I mean, does that worry you guys? It kind of worries me with, the state of how college football is shaping with the transfer portal and great players leaving G5 teams to go play for P5 teams. That depth and, talent just isn't there at a lot of these G5 programs staying because they have those P5s they can transfer to along with NIL and everything. Yes, the transfer portal will give it and it can also take it away. So I just want your thoughts on those matchups and, if you're worried about the separation of the P5 and G5 getting larger because of it. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Go Cajuns.
If I may.
Yeah, go for it.
As far as the separation, I think on the field, I think it's getting closer. And I think that's part of the reason why the media has gotten so much worse about it, because they don't like it because it doesn't fit the narratives and the TV deals that they want. But I do think these close losses, kind of like what Jesse alluded to earlier, at the end of the year, nobody's going to remember that App State, North Carolina was this awesome once-in-a-lifetime game. They're going to remember that the Power 5 beat the Group of 5 in all the games except for one in week 1. And that's what they're going to talk about. That's what scares me a little bit. Yep. And then if I can answer the transfer portal question, I think this, man, I see LSU's star receiver is ready to transfer at halftime of their game yesterday. And I see that it's because he got into a shouting match with the head coach at halftime in the locker room. Like, I don't know what happened. Sounds like probably the player is quite a bit immature, but then also I don't have a lot of good things to say about Brian Kelly. And then you go watch Sean Clark's post-game interview defending the hell out of Chase Bryce. I'm sorry, man, but I tweeted about that. Go play where the coach loves you and loves the program and is not there to collect a paycheck and take a stepping stone or whatever he's trying to do. Like you're going to be that relationship. Like, I can promise you that the relationship Chase Bryce has with Sean Clark is probably going to last for the rest of both of their lives. Just like all of us with Coach Stock at middle, like whether you're the superstar, whether you're a walk-on, whether you play a bunch or don't play at all, like go play for somebody that's like that and quit worrying about this big brand stuff where you're going to go and the coach doesn't even know your name probably, and you hate life. I mean, I don't know. I think in reality, I think the gap is getting closer, and I think players are starting to see this crap too. That's why you're getting these players go play for Dion at Jackson State. But,
and if I could
sorry,
I
did a lot there. Yeah,
Sprouse, real quick. I agree with you as well. I think in the short term right now, we have seen a lot of departures from the Group of 5 to Power 5, but like anything else, it's new, right? The transfer portal is very new, NIL is very new, so everything's kind of swinging one direction on the pendulum. I definitely think kids are going to figure out, like, man, maybe this wasn't the right play for me, and that's just that information's going to end up, kind of circulating, and it'll swing back, and people will hopefully be transferring for better reasons than, whatever, NIL, or, I'm going to go be a bench player at, Florida or Georgia, and again, I'm making $60K and I'm not going to even see the field. Like, and I was starting at a Group of 5 school and I was the top dog. Like, I think after a few years, this will all kind of get figured out, and we'll have a better idea, and kids will have a better idea of actually what works, and they'll figure out the stats on the transfer portal that, like, the grass isn't always greener, and you got to actually make, decisions like that for the right reasons, for a coach that loves the program, that loves the kids, and not just, like you said.
Yeah, heard that. And we'll get into that Eastern Michigan Louisiana game here in a little while. Yep. But yeah, thanks everybody for the calls. Yeah, no question, everybody. I think all of those guys have called before. I know Creme Brulee.
That was his first.
Called before, right? I think he left a Twitter question for Lee. I think Leon that we had on. But so thank you all for the call. We touched a bunch on App State already. I don't know. For me, I got one last parting word on App State that we haven't hit yet. Is there was some people questioning whether or not they should go for 2 on the first one. I will tell you, your defense has not made a stop all game long. You just got the break of what they have 2 or 3 penalties that kept them alive on that last drive. Get out of there, man. Win it and get out of there. And they They literally did everything right, just couldn't connect on the pass. That's it. I mean, everything. The play call was perfect. They executed it perfect. It was wide open. They just missed it, man. And that's what happens. Yep. But anybody else? I know we talked before about their facilities and everything. Everything there. It's the model, man. I mean, I know we hadn't been out west yet, and maybe Boise, or we hadn't been to any of the American schools yet, but you can't tell me that's not premier top-level football in Boone.
Well, it just has everything you want in a program. I mean, you have the community support. They're all bought in. The coaches love being there. They love their players. They put a great product on the field. They're very well coached. You can tell that. I mean, Friday walkthroughs, like me and Zeke and Tip were just like, dude, they're like locked in. They're going through every situation. Like most Friday I shouldn't say most. A lot of Friday walkthroughs are not like that. Like, so, kudos to them. Like, they just do it right. Their fan base shows up. The school is invested in it. The students are invested in it. And you can say, because, there's not a lot of things to do in Boone. Like, you can make whatever excuse they want. But this has been built over decades of good decision-making from top to bottom, school-wise, football program-wise, community-wise. So, kudos to them, and great bar.
Shout out to those
well.
students. Yeah, shout out to those students too. I mean, they're in their seats an hour before kickoff, and that's something that you don't see really anywhere, but especially not in the group of five, especially for a noon kickoff.
Yeah,
I mean, they were out there tailgating at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and they were like, they needed to get in there and get up front and give them that advantage, which they sure do. So, the other one, what you got?
I was just going to say something that gave me chills and I absolutely loved was when we were leaving the stadium after that game. I mean, everyone, including us, and we're heartbroken over that loss, and it's quiet. And then the App State chants start. I mean, that proves everything that Murph just said right there. Everyone is bought in, from the fans to the coaching staff to the students, to the players. Every single person that's part of that program is locked in, and they love App State football, and they love that program. And it was amazing to see that. And I was thinking like the LSU game, they lost by like 1 point. Like, you think those fans are like doing LSU chants as they're walking back to their cars? Probably not. They're probably trying to like start fights and stuff, and like,
yeah, they're on the message board trying to fire the coach already. I mean,
exactly. And then what do you see? What do you see like on App State Twitter and message boards and stuff? How proud they are of their players and their coaches, and how much they love their coaches and players. So I just love to see it, and I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about App, man. Another heartbreaker, though, was that freaking ECU game. We talked about the extra point and the field goal earlier, but again, shout out to that crowd that was in it. I mean, I saw the highlight of that 4th and goal stop, and they smacked that running back at the goal line. That place erupted.
Dude, so tight.
I mean, what an awesome environment that was. And again, like, neither of those teams are performing the way that they performed if those crowds are not in it the way they're in it. I mean, that's a home field advantage, and that's why these Power 5 schools don't want to go there.
Yeah,
they don't want to go there and risk getting beat by a supposedly lesser team.
Pays to show up.
But I mean, there were so many. Cincinnati. I mean, now of course I didn't know their center is out for the year. That's a big loss. I mean, with that O-line was the strength of their team coming in this year.
And your center's your captain, right? And let me just say this. I mean, we were a little disappointed because we didn't get the 5 upsets or whatever, but like we were very, very close to having 3 or 4. So, and that's just how football goes sometimes. It's a game of inches, a game of runs. Like it just kind of goes that way. And with your center being out, wow, let's just look at this. Ben Bryant, 325 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Didn't we have, if I'm not mistaken, did we have a bet about who's going to start?
He's 0-1, and Taylor Powell's 1-0. So
No. We had a bet. We had a bet.
You said you said Bryant would have more wins than Taylor Powell.
Is that what it was? I thought we were saying who was going to start for Cincinnati.
You can either edit this clip out if you want to embarrass yourself, or we can keep
No, look, if we go on track records, buddy, about whose receipts.
And Taylor Powell did play Eastern Kentucky. If we're going to get in Eastern Michigan, I don't think they actually performed the way I thought they were going to. I thought they were going to blow them out.
Got beat.
But it was week 1. He did have a 70% passing completion, and he threw 3 touchdowns, and he had 1 INT just like Bryant did. Time will tell.
I would say
Louisiana
Eastern Illinois is a little bit different than Arkansas, but yeah, we'll just let that one go. We'll let that one go, or whoever.
So that's
it was.
2 bad takes.
Well, that was yeah. Those were the heartbreaking ones, and I'll say App State, ECU, Cincinnati, they at least came to play. All 3 of them. I'll say, and Jesse mentioned it earlier, I was real disappointed in San Diego State, Boise State. I
was disappointed in Georgia State with South Carolina. There were one I was not disappointed. No, actually, I was. Troy, because I went back and looked at the stats. It was actually a little bit worse than what the score at the end of the game. It was like 28-3 in the fourth quarter, and then Ole Miss had like a couple turnovers late in the game, and they were able to score and make it 28-10. I just don't think we showed up week 1, and hey, we have our off weeks, but if we're going to win the fight we're fighting, we got to win these great close games.
Was that the final on that game though? 28-10.
28-10, which
I mean, 28. Holding Ole Miss to 28 points.
No, you're right.
You're right. Having offense. But that was what we were worried about, right? It's the offense.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think we all. I mean, I think I said 28-3 or something like that, or 27-3, but yeah, it was 28-0, right? Or whatever it was.
I guess I'm just a hopeless romantic. I was wanting it to be like a 7 or 10 point game, and because I really do like that defense. And
yeah,
hey, look out Sunbelt West and look out Sunbelt East, because I tell you what, App State better get a better defense. They're trying to be in the Sunbelt Championship.
Week 3, Troy goes to App State, so that is going to be a game. But and then I'll tell you what game was good, and both of these teams showed out, and both of these teams were 2 of the favorites in the group of 5. Houston and UTSA. Mm-hmm. What do we say? Both quarterbacks and receiver combos. I mean, dude, those guys.
It's unreal.
I mean, that overtime throw or the throw to put it in overtime by Frank Harris. I mean, are you kidding me? I saw a lot of NFL analysts tweeting about those guys and saying those were some NFL throws they were making, but they both showed out. That crowd at UTSA showed out. I mean,
Alamo Dome was rocking, dude.
Yeah. Can't say enough about both of those teams. It sucks that one of them had to start the year with a loss, because they'll in today's world, they're now completely eliminated. Or Oregon can lose by 40 points and they're still alive in the playoff, but UTSA loses in triple overtime by 2 to another top 25 team, and they'll be completely eliminated from any kind of New Year's Bowl. So that sucks. But both of them played really well. You got to give a shout out, man, to Old Dominion.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the ones that got the win, and it didn't look very good a lot of the time, but damn it, they won that game. So
I mean, I give credit to that defense. I thought the defense showed up. I mean, when they had to, and you had guys. I mean, such as like Dax Holyfield had like 11 total tackles. I mean, you had guys that were flying to the ball for Old Dominion. It was just really fun to watch. They had like 2 or 3 guys that had over 10 tackles in that game because they were just flying to the ball.
I'll tell you who did not look good.
No, he did not.
Grant Wells.
There's a transfer you shouldn't have made. Yep.
100%. Grass isn't always greener. You go to Virginia Tech. I mean, Blacksburg's a pretty awesome place to play, I'm sure, but he did not show up.
I can tell you what's not going to be a pretty awesome place is probably the classroom that Grant Wells walks into tomorrow morning, because that's the difference about Blacksburg and about Marshall. But yeah, they picked him off 4 times, man. And of course, I won the bet against Trip Miller's girlfriend, like I knew I was going to do. Man, the whole bar thought Virginia Tech had to win, and I knew it was happening. But But yeah, shout out to Old Dominion, man. I mean, that was one that, they won. They beat Virginia Tech at home a couple years ago.
Undefeated at home against Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Well, Murph, quickly, before we get into the week 2 games, I mean, you got to get up there to James Madison. And that game I didn't get to watch it. I don't think any of us got to watch it on TV. First of all, you sounded great on radio.
You really did.
Great
Appreciate
job
it,
on your
man.
first
You
game,
sounded
man.
awesome on there, man.
Thank you.
But we don't, as Middle Tennessee alumni, we don't want to really talk about the game a whole lot. I mean, what's James Madison? Looked like the crowd was rocking. Looked like they got it going there.
How's the food?
Well, I'll get to the food in a minute. But no, man. I mean, sold out crowd.
Yeah.
28,000 showed up for the, the home opener. Moving up to FBS. I mean, it couldn't have been a better atmosphere. I mean, the stadium was awesome. They've done a lot of work to it. I mean, they did a lot of what these schools are doing in the end zone, where they kind of took down, built their performance center where their weight room is, locker room, all that in the I don't know, remember if it was I think it was the south end zone, but that's there. And then I mean, the student section, I'm going to be honest with you, it might have been the biggest student section I've ever seen at a stadium, and that includes App State. I mean, the whole north end zone was completely filled, and I think it's a double deck on the north, and then all the way into the corner, almost probably to the 20-yard line, was all students. I mean, the atmosphere was rocking. Of course, they're playing music, blast some music pregame, blast some music kickoff. Like, their fans were into it. They're rowdy. I mean, the stadium was top notch. I didn't get to go into the weight room, but it looked from everywhere outside. I got to walk by it. It looked every bit of nice. And this is, an FCS team that's, just moved up. It was every bit of, they're going to slide into the Sun Belt and be competitive right away, put it that way, because they were so well coached and on the offensive line and defensive line. Todd Centeio, transfer from Colorado State. I mean, the guy had 3,000 yards last year at Colorado State, and he's going into one of the top offenses moving up from FCS. Last year, they lost their quarterback, I think he was the number 2 quarterback in FCS. I mean, this guy, 287 yards passing, 6 touchdown passes, 110 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown rushing. So to have 7 total touchdowns on a game against my Blue Raiders, it was tough to watch. It was tough to make the call. But, to kind of get on middle a little bit, they were terrible on first down. I think they had their first, I think it was 5 out of the first 7, or maybe it was 4 out of the first 6 on offense were 3 and outs. Now, their defense, I was very happily surprised. Middle's defense played as well as they could. They blocked a field goal on the first drive. James Madison goes for it on 4th down. The second drive, Jordan Ferguson jumps up, bats the ball down. He's the same guy that blocked the field goal. That kid's the real deal at defensive end for Middle, but they have got to figure it out on offense. And James Madison, they did what they were supposed to do. They took advantage of everything that Middle, couldn't do against them and gave them. And shout out to Todd Centeio and Chris Thornton, their receiver, 155 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So they got a tandem right there, and it's pretty cool. Every time they throw a touchdown, those party streamers that you would buy at
they bust them every time they scored.
No, so not the pop ones, like the ones that come in a big roll and like you pin them to the wall and then run them across. So every time they score, they throw a whole roll of party streamers of purple and yellow, like, so every time they score a touchdown, it's just like raining like streamers.
That's cool.
It was pretty cool, man. So like, shout out to James Madison getting their first win. It's tough to watch, but I think they're going to slide into the Sun Belt and be just fine. They're going to be very competitive in the Sun Belt, which is, we always say, one of the top, group of 5 conferences in the country.
So Jeff, like I was telling Sprouse a few years ago when I was driving down the interstate, I was like, that stadium is legit. Like, it's a pretty cool stadium, right?
It's very cool.
Nice.
The where the press box is, I think that's like almost a 3-deck high. It's massive. I was shocked. I did not think it was going to be that big.
It's a big stadium.
Yeah, it is a big stadium, and it's nice, and everything's nice about it. So, I mean, shout out to James Madison. They've done it right from top to bottom too, and they're going to slide right in the Sun Belt and be just fine.
That's what I was going to say, Jeff. Like, it's interesting to see the teams that, quote, jump up a conference or a division. Like, you look at a James Madison, and like, they do it slowly and like methodically. They invest, they recruit, they win, they upgrade facilities, and then they move up when they're ready and they come in and compete. Versus I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but some of these teams that are coming in, they come from FCS, they go to Conference USA, they're going to the American in 2 years, and they haven't won yet at any level. And it's you wonder, like, what's the end result? Like, it's like you're chasing the money and the TV deal and the conference and the brand, or you do it the right way and you slowly build, and then you come in and you compete right away.
Yeah, and I know we got to get to these games coming up, but this will be the last thing I'll say on it. I mean, they remind me a lot of when App State made the jump. They've had, they were top in the 1AA at the time, or whatever the division was back then. They had that big win, at Michigan. They got the ball rolling. They invested at the right time, and that seems to be what James Madison has done. They've been a top program, and it's like they build this culture of winning, where winning is expected, and anything less than that is not tolerated. And that's like such a big thing, but it starts from the president of the school to the athletic director to the head coach and all the way down. And you just got some of these presidents out there, man, that have no clue about what's going on. And usually if they have a successful football program and they really aren't sports like guys, it's because they have an awesome athletic director that gets it, and they give them the tools necessary to take it to where it needs to be. But it starts at the top, just like everything else, and goes down. And JMU's done a hell of a job, and they're reaping the benefits of it, and they're going to go in and be competitive right away.
Love it, man. That James Madison App State is about to be such a good rivalry, man.
It really is. It's only 4-hour drive, man. It's a 4-hour drive. It's
about to be so good. Man, the Sun Belt is awesome, dude. God. Well, real quick before we get into week 2, we had a bunch of good performances. I want to go to everybody. Just give me your top performance from the week. Was it a player, a team, a coach, fan base? I'll go to you, Grisham, first. What do you got?
Oh man, I don't want to steal. I'm sorry. I'm doing Chase Bryce. I thought Sun Belt Player of the Year. I feel like it's most common answer. I wanted to give you a different one because I think on the other side, Georgia Southern, I thought Kyle Van Treese, I thought he had a very good day. I think I'm excited to watch him next week against Nebraska. Sun Belt had a lot of big time players show up, but Chase Bryce, it's hard to say anybody played better than he did week 1.
Yeah, Tip, what do you think?
Yeah, just going back on Jesse's comment about Chase Bryce. Like, one of the question marks I had about App State's offense going into that game was like, they lost all those seniors at wide receiver. And it's like, yeah, who's going to step up? Are they going to? Is everything going to click and gel on offense? And I think it's safe to say they did. They're going to be just fine. Amazing performance by
Tip. That I don't have his name here, but that number 22, that receiver for App State, true freshman, look out for him. Tip and I had several fans tell us about this guy.
Yeah.
6'4" true freshman. He's the one that had that 50-yard snag near close to the game. Chase Bryce did a dime at him. I think that guy's going to be a top receiver in the Sun Belt, if not college football here in the next couple of years.
Yep, dude, I 100% agree.
And look out for their third running back too. I mean, that guy came in. He's the best
that
one.
Guy was like on an all-Madden player. Like they just put him in. He had yellow cleats and everything. I was like, that guy's an edited player out here, 99 overall.
They are legit 3 deep at running back this year. Yeah.
Sorry, Tip. Well, so who's your top performance?
Man, I'm going to give a shout out to SMU quarterback Tanner Mordecai. I mean, we saw how well North Texas played week 0.
Try to tell y'all, frauds.
They go, dude. SMU went in there and beat them 48-10. Tanner Mordecai threw for 432 yards and 4 touchdowns. He looked incredible.
Yeah, man. I had a bad week. I had a week of bad takes. I was wrong on a lot. Murph, what do you got? Top performance week 1.
I'm gonna go 2 real quick. I already gave you the stats, but Todd Centeio for James Madison. I mean, you can't have much of a better game at a quarterback position than that guy had stat-wise. And I'm also going to go, and this, I'll talk about it. I think we're going to talk about guys to look forward to for this coming week, but I can't give you enough of Frank Harris, man. 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. I did, didn't I? 63 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. I mean, that guy's an offensive machine. I love watching him play, man. He's so exciting and was right there to beat Houston, man. They were right there, but Frank Harris.
I'll
look out
repeat
for him.
myself from a few episodes ago. He's going to be the Conference USA MVP, Player of the Year, whatever. It's going to be Frank Harris.
Yeah, I'm gonna go top performance. I'm gonna go back to the fans of a lot of these Group of 5 schools: ECU, App State, UTSA, James Madison. I mean, you know what
Sprouse, I think they know how important it is. I did a couple of
they do. It's fine. You're okay.
It's the other schools that don't realize how important it is.
We need to keep a counter of how many times Jesse interrupts people, and I just need to have it on the screen and just have it be a running total. That would be so funny.
It's exactly right. You know why I say this is because I saw a picture of Middle coming out of the tunnel at James Madison, and there was fans all over the top of them. And like my first thought was like, as a player, it sucks so bad to come out of your home tunnel and there's nobody there, and then you go on the road and you're like, dang, man, like what? Like why? And I know there's a lot of reasons for why people don't go to games, but you got teams that are selling out, upper 20s, 30. App State had over 40,000 there on Saturday, and then you got teams that they might sell 14 or 15,000, but there's really probably like 3 or 4,000 actually at the game. It sucks, man. And you want your best players to not transfer? I mean, come on, man.
Sprouse, I promise you that's number 2, Jeff. I promise you that you can add or take away 10 points to a score just based off the fans. That's either 10 more points from the offense or 10 more points away for the opposing team from defense stepping it up. It makes that much of a difference. It's huge.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of videos of recruits at App walking on the field level, walking by the students, and the students are, they're dapping them up, they're cheering them on, they're doing all their little chants. Like, how do you think your team's gonna get better? Like what kind of recruit? If you go to visit James Madison or App State or ECU last week, or then if you go to a school that there's nobody there, like for what good reason would you go play where nobody supports you? I mean, but shout out to the fans that do go, because I do think we're seeing an increase. I really do. Even San Diego State, that looked terrible, their crowd was rocking. So you get on my high horse there a little bit. So week 2, we got a lot of chances to redeem ourselves, Group of 5 guys here. We got a bunch of Group of 5 on Power 5 games. We're favored in 3 of them. Underdogs and all the rest. I think there's 20 games that it's Group of 5 versus Power 5. The ones we're favored in, it's Louisville at UCF. It's Colorado at Air Force, and it's Oregon State at Fresno State. Now that one might be moving. I'm not sure. It was -1 yesterday, but you guys are looking at the list of all the games here. I'll start with you, Grisham. I know you don't like when I start with you. Give me the game or games that you think we got the best chance at.
Best chance at. So we said it 2 or 3 times. Upsetting, disappointing week 1, but I still think now we're due. now the Group 5's due. I'm going to say we're going to get at least 2 or 3 of them this week. And right off the bat, UCF, Louisville. It's not really an upset. I think UCF is really good this year. I think they're gonna pull it off at Louisville. And I'm not going to give you a lot of background. I'm just going to go down the list, which I think. You know a crazy upset I could see happening, because I don't think they look that good against Purdue. You watch Ohio. They played pretty good against FAU. FAU's a pretty good ball club. Yeah. You watch Ohio stay there with Penn State, may have a chance to win in the fourth quarter. Yep. One game, though, that I for sure like. I like Georgia State. I like Georgia State hosting North Carolina. North Carolina did not look that good against Florida A&M. Their defense did not show up against Penn State. You go to Georgia State, this team is very physical, and you look out for Jameson Williams. They were running the ball. They were running the ball pretty good against South Carolina. I mean, decent. Their quarterback needs to play a lot better. But if their offense can come up and show up against North Carolina, which they should, because I'm guaranteeing you North Carolina's defense is worse than South Carolina's, Georgia State's got an opportunity to win that ball game.
Yeah, I like that. I think Georgia State's defense, at least so far, has looked better than what App State looked like. But I don't think Georgia State's offense is quite as good. So we'll see what gives on that. And yeah, Louisville looked bad against Syracuse this weekend. UCF, I think they roll. That's a Friday night game too.
My last take before you go, Jeff. out of these games, I think 3 of them for sure can win. The 3 for sure is going to win. I think it's going to be UCF. I think Houston's going to be Texas Tech, and then Air Force over Colorado. So
Yeah. Tip, I'll go to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Houston to beat Texas Tech this week. Murray State had some success throwing the ball against Texas Tech last week. Houston's quarterback Clayton Tune looked extremely efficient and played really well against UTSA. So I'll be curious to see. Yes, I mean, so the line's already starting to move, and Houston's are kind of moving down a little bit. We had it at 3. Texas Tech favored by 3. It's now down to 2.5. I could see that going down another half point, maybe a full point. So I like Houston. I like Houston money line in this game.
Yeah, I like that one too. They look good. That game last year, Texas Tech won. It was Houston's only loss until they lost to Cincinnati at the end of the year. So it was 38-21 Texas Tech. I think it was a neutral site game as well, week 1, like kickoff classic type of deal. I think it's revenge game for Houston. I think they got to be feeling good about a big emotional win on the road versus UTSA. And yeah, Tank Dell was quiet early, but when that game got late and it mattered, I mean, Clayton Tune and Tank Dell were in sync on that. Murph, I'll go to you on these. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with I agree with all the ones you guys already said. I think UCF has a great, chance of beating Louisville at home. I'm with you about Houston. I think Houston's going to beat Texas Tech. I definitely think Air Force is going to get the W. Here's a couple that we haven't talked about that I think has a very good shot. Might surprise us. UNLV at Cal. I'm interested to see how UNLV builds off of that first win, and that the offense looked very, very good. So we'll see how that ends up. But I could see them hanging around. If you can score points, you can hang in any game. So if they can continue to get that offense rolling, score points, get Cal at home, they can hang around stealing in the fourth quarter. Georgia Southern at Nebraska. I think Nebraska are frauds. I just really do. And Georgia Southern looked great. I know it was against Morgan State, but you just never know, man. You go in there and get a win against a Nebraska Cornhusker team like that. Now Georgia Southern has all the confidence in the world. Same thing. They just need to hang around in the third, fourth quarter, and anything can happen when you keep it close. And then obviously I can't wait to see Fresno State at home against Oregon State. Jay Kaner, Jalen Cropper, Jeff Tedford. Let's get it done, boys. You're my team to win the Mountain West. I think you're the best team in the Mountain West. Show up. I'm with you, Sprouse. I have not had a good record this last week 0 and week 1. I'm picking teams. I'm all in on Fresno State. I hope it's not a jinx, but let's go Bulldogs.
Hey, Fresno State's running back Jordan Mims looked really good.
Really good.
They got to get Cropper going. He didn't have a touchdown at all last week.
But what does that say?
Yeah, that says they're very good.
You know what I mean? They have a lot of weapons that they can go to. So
piss poor take on my part. I just glimpsed over these. There's 4 or 5 of these for sure. There's definitely going to be the group 5 is going to rebound this week. They have to. Yeah. And going back to what Jeff said, I love Georgia Southern and Nebraska. I think that you go with that game, you're like, hey, let's go ahead and pack Scott Frost bags for him. Let's go ahead and just take care of this. They're not going to beat the crap out of Georgia Southern. They're not going to. They may win, but it's going to be very close.
Well, the thing about playing Nebraska now to me is you just got to early on let them make one mistake, or you just get a little bit of momentum if you're Georgia Southern early, and their crowd's going to start grumbling. They're going to start the players. I mean, it's just one of those things where they haven't figured it out. And however many years Frost has been there, they're here we go again. We just can't figure it out.
They're going to start cheering for Georgia Southern because they want Scott Frost gone.
Yeah, you're damn right.
They're all going to show up in Georgia Southern colors.
Here's the other thing too is, so Nebraska plays Oklahoma next after Georgia Southern. This could be a little bit of a trap game. You're looking ahead to Oklahoma.
I don't know why they're looking ahead to Oklahoma.
I don't know if they are, Jeff.
But
0-2. They won 1.
No, they beat North Dakota. This week, and it was 17 early. Yeah, for a long time.
All right.
Will Compton ain't coming through those doors, Nebraska.
Didn't Will Compton have Nebraska going 12-0 this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what an idiot!
He's a homer. He's the biggest. He's maybe a bigger homer than I am for middle.
Yeah. No, I agree with all you guys. I think the 3 that the group of 5 is favored in, I think those are 3 wins. I also like Houston on the road at Texas Tech to give us 4 wins. I don't think they win this game. I'm really interested to see how App State responds after just such a heartbreaker and now going to A&M. We heard, we were listening before the show, Jimbo Fisher is not letting A&M think that they're going to roll, which, good on him. Funny, a head coach of a really good program understands that App State's a really good team. But
if I would have seen that video, I probably would have been like, maybe App State could sneak up on them. But he definitely respects them.
I agree. And then also, I don't think they win this game either, but I think it's going to be cool. Frank Gore Jr. at Southern Miss playing at Miami, where his dad played. So I think that's a pretty cool deal. Hell, his dad probably still suit up. He's like 43 years old. I mean, you guys everybody gives Tom Brady because he's playing so old. Frank Gore's playing running back.
I know, that's incredible.
40 years old, dude. But I think that's pretty cool. And Frank Gore Jr. looked really good. They lost barely to Liberty, but he had a great game. So
and I just saw a clip of this before we got on, but God, that I think it was a linebacker or a safety or something. I mean, he got thrown out of the game for targeting, but he absolutely obliterated that quarterback like so late after he threw the ball. Like I felt it watching the video. Yeah, look it up. Where Liberty's defensive player gets thrown out of the game for I mean, like when they show clinics at coaching conventions, like that video will be on there for targeting. Like, come on, man. Like,
there was a bad one in the LSU game.
Yeah, that was really bad.
It's funny you get those, and it's like everybody knows, like, okay, that's targeting, and then you just get these ones that it drives me nuts.
It's technically helmet to helmet contact, so let's take a look.
Contact, even though they were both tripping over each other, falling, the ball was in the air. I mean, come on. I think we rebound this week, boys. You only got 3 conference games. Let's go through these quick. In the MAC, you got Western Michigan at Ball State. Western Michigan going on the road, 6.5-point favorites. Grisham, what do you think?
Western Michigan covers.
Tip?
Yep, I agree with Swagbear.
Murph?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think they cover it. They looked pretty good last week, I thought.
Yeah, I think Western Michigan's a pretty good team. I like that one too. Memphis at Navy. I'm surprised this line is not bigger than this. I mean, Navy, they lost to Delaware.
They were the shipmen.
Yeah.
All right, that was not bad.
Pretty good. So, Jess, what do you got on that one? Memphis at Navy.
Memphis.
Yeah. Tip.
Yeah, Memphis, they covered. You said it. Navy struggled against Delaware last week. Only scored 7 points. If Memphis defense can defend, Navy's offense, then they're going to win and they'll cover.
Murph.
I'm going Memphis.
Yeah, me too. Boise State at New Mexico. Boise, man, they didn't show up at all. I mean, I hate to say it.
You want to talk about bad takes? I said their defense was elite, and they did not look elite last week.
What pisses me off is I just got done telling Brandon Walker how good of a program Boise State was, and they just come out and lay an egg. But they are 16.5-point favorites still at New Mexico. Jesse, what do you think?
Remember, I have UTEP beating Boise State. Remember that?
I do.
I'm going to take Boise State to beat New Mexico. I have no idea on the spread, so I'm not going to give my opinion on that. I have no idea, but Boise State will win.
Yeah, Tip, what do you think?
Boise State's currently favored by 16.5. I would not touch that spread from a betting aspect.
Didn't they make a comeback on Oregon State though late in the game, or was that just twos coming in and trying to get some extra points?
No, I mean, they were making a little bit of a comeback, but I mean, the defense was giving up way too many big plays against Oregon State. Now, like, that's my one worry in this game. Like, New Mexico put up 41 points. I mean, they played against Maine, but I mean, they put up some big plays, and that's what Boise State's defense did last week against Oregon State. They gave up a bunch of big plays. I still think Boise State bounces back though. So they'll win that, but 16.5, I'm not touching that game from betting standpoint.
Murph, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, Boise State should win, but they had a bad showing, and I didn't get to watch that game, so I'm just looking at the stat line. Bachmeier played terrible. I don't even know who started it. Do you all know who started this game? Because he only had 30 yards passing and 2 interceptions, and then they had Taylor Green come in and had a whole lot better numbers than he did.
No, Bachmeyer started.
So he must have got yanked then.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. Yep, Taylor Green replaced ineffective Hank Bachmeyer.
Yeah, and that was what I said
Yikes.
about Boise State. I was like, he's got to be the guy. Like they've been expecting him to show up, and to lay an egg like that in game one, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, not good. I agree. I do think Boise wins that game. 2 touchdowns maybe, but I don't think more than that. Bunch of interesting, good group of 5 on group of 5 non-conference games. You guys are looking at the list. Do the same thing as we did with the Power 5. Give me your best game or two you're looking at. I'll go to you first, Jess.
I'm just going to talk about one. I'm going to talk about one because they're my favorite team in the group of 5. Eastern Michigan. They did not play that well in week 1. The defense did not show up against Eastern Kentucky. I think that they show up against Louisiana at Louisiana. They try to make a statement here. It's going to be a great ball game. And, hey, it's kind of a win-win for me because if Louisiana wins, then I'm going to be back on the Louisiana bandwagon. But I really like this game. I'm going to be watching it a lot. Taylor Powell, I think that he's going to have a coming-out party. I'm going to say 4 touchdowns. So I like Eastern Michigan. Well, I'm sorry. Is that Eastern Michigan minus 10.5 or Louisiana minus 10.5?
Louisiana minus 10.5.
All right, take it. Eastern Michigan plus 10.5. Let's make some money this weekend.
No, the Cajuns, they didn't look fantastic. Yeah, they didn't look fantastic this weekend, but I don't think Eastern Michigan's quite ready yet.
I can't believe y'all hate the Eastern Michigan.
Nobody's hating.
Yeah, nobody's hating.
I got too many Louisiana fans in the DMs anytime they're not ranked high enough in the polls or whatever. I'm like,
Stu's right.
Guys,
Stu's right. If you want to win that $10 back, buddy, you go ahead and take Eastern Michigan plus 10.5.
Yes, Stu, you ain't getting that money, bud.
How dare you say that? Like I don't pay my debts. I'm like a Lannister on Game of Thrones.
You know,
Grisham always pays his debts.
I got a sidebar here. Grisham texted me like a week ago. Maybe it was like 2 weeks ago. He's like, I went ahead and paid Zeke for the Airbnb in Boone. I said, Jesse, we all paid him 3 months ago. He was like all proud of himself. Already paid Zeke. I got that taken care of.
He said, damn, dude, I did that 2 months ago. I was like,
ooh. Anyway, no, I do like that game's very interesting, actually. But I like Louisiana. Tip, what game are you looking at?
I'm looking at a couple of games. UTSA only favored by 1.5 against Army. I don't think UTSA is getting enough respect after playing against Houston that well. I think they should be favored by more. I think they win this game by 7+ points. So I like UTSA on the road against Army in that game. And NIU at Tulsa. Tulsa favored by 6.5. I like NIU. Tulsa's offense. I mean, they look good against a Wyoming team that we had a lot of question marks about coming into the season. Lost a lot of players, lost a lot of starters, and they went 2 overtimes in that game. NIU's defense is going to have to play better than they did against Eastern Michigan, but I like NIU with the upset in that game.
Army played Coastal really well this weekend, and I mean we talked about that game being interesting. I mean, but they were up, or were they? They went up 21-17 end of the third, and then it was 31-28 late in the fourth. Coastal up 31-28, but Army played pretty well. They only threw 5 passes. Running back 9 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown. But what they did was they kept Grayson McCall off the field. McCall only threw 17 passes. So that's the recipe. Now McCall played pretty good though, because he had a couple teeters too. But yeah, but I think UTSA is better than Coastal at this point. Murph, what game are you looking at?
I got a couple of them. Yeah, I got a couple of them. I want to see UAB at Liberty. UAB has looked really good. I want to see if they can do it against, probably a tougher team in Liberty. I think Liberty wins that game. I think they cover the 6.5. I just think Liberty or UAB top to bottom is the toughest team besides UTSA. UTSA was one of my games also to watch with Frank Harris. Tip already talked about that, so I'll skip over that. Come on, Bobcats, Texas State. Show up this week. You're at home. The faithful, show up for those guys. You got FIU coming in. FIU has not looked good. Last game, last 2 games, and We need to see something out of you guys. And then last but not least, I'll be at the MTSU at Colorado State in Fort Collins. So if you're around, hit me in the DMs. Would love to meet up with you, grab a beer. I'm going to hit up Matt Mumey, hopefully get to see him. MTSU, man. O-line, you got to figure it out. You got to be able to run the ball. Figure out a way to give Chase Cunningham some time. But they get Jalen Lane back. He was out last game, which was a huge hit at the receiver spot and in the return game. So excited to see him back. But I'm looking forward to that game because Colorado State got blanked by Michigan. Middle got blanked by James Madison. So who's going to show up?
Yeah. I just want to clarify on UAB Liberty. Did you say UAB wins that game?
Yes, and they cover.
Okay. I thought I might have heard you wrong. Yeah, I'm so interested in FIU at Texas State because both teams I was high on preseason and both looked pretty rough week one. Now, what I will say in FIU's defense, this is a team that has not won an FBS game since they beat Miami in 2019. So sometimes you just got to learn how to win. And even though they played against, an FCS opponent in Bryant, they went to overtime, but they had to make a field goal late to tie it. And then they did find a way to win. So, some of those guys, their first win is being on campus. So I'm interested to see who comes out of that game. One of the two, got to show up. So Texas State, I think, with their O-line, I think Lane Hatcher, he didn't look great this past weekend. So I think they're going to be able to score some points, though, on FIU. And then I think, man, game of the week, I can't believe this line is what it is. ODU at ECU. Old Dominion, yeah, they didn't look great, but their defense is pretty darn good, and ECU's defense is pretty darn good. So that I could see a low-scoring game right there. ECU's favored at 13.5. I think ECU wins that game. I'm not seeing by 2 touchdowns, though. I see this as a 24-14 type of game at ECU. So, and I just hope that their crowd is rocking the same way when Old Dominion comes in there. I mean, I'm sure it won't be quite the same environment, but hopefully they pack it.
I'm looking at these several group of 5 games for week 2, and I'm seeing 5 or 6. I may even say 7. They're going to be better than Alabama and Texas. And I'm not saying that Kirk Herbstreit has to call, the Louisiana Eastern Michigan game. He can get back on his little private jet and go to, Notre Dame or Austin, Texas, and do that game. But what does ESPN have to lose by showing up to Lafayette, Louisiana, and hosting College Game Day for Group of 5? They would show up. It would be probably just as electric, even more than Austin, Texas, because Austin, Texas gets this every season, at least one time. The Raging Cajuns would erupt if College Game Day arrived there. And I'm just looking at it as a business side. Why not give the group of 5s some opportunities, especially when you don't have your 1 versus number 5? These aren't even 2 top 25 teams. This is right now. It's just a top 25 team playing an unranked team. Something I'm just venting about right now. I just tweeted about it. I'm seeing a bunch of games here. I'm mad that Game Day is going to Austin, Texas. It's so stupid to me.
I agree with you 100%. I think that their reasoning is, I think they don't want people to see the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana having an awesome tailgate, having a good crowd. They don't want that. They want these recruits to see these games and be like, this is a small school. This is something nobody cares about, blah, 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 blah. That's why it's probably why they put their backup play-by-play guys on these games, because they don't want people to watch them. They're like, I can't listen to this crap. But yeah, I'm with you. All these games, you look at even just the line itself. That Bama-Texas game's a 3-touchdown spread. Now, it's probably going to move up quite a bit by the time Saturday comes around.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Texas will get beat by 35 points, and they'll be the next day. It'll be the discussion. Does this eliminate Texas from the college football playoff? That's what it'll be, and it won't be, because they'll say, "Well, Alabama's really good." Last thing before we go, I won my prize picks there.
Did you?
Over the weekend? Yeah, because Cam Peoples, I had him over 64.5. That's some bitch
Attaboy.
went for 65. I mean,
Attaboy.
good
I
Lord.
had a fantastic weekend playing just with Prize Picks. That's a
Yeah.
fun app. That's a real fun
Yeah.
app. a lot of good entries, a lot of good awards. It was entertaining to say the least.
Yeah.
We
It's
talked
fun.
about it before the game started on Saturday. I think we picked the over on every single player's in the Houston UTSA game, and they all
Cephas, Franklin, and Tank Dell on the over. We took Chase Bryce on the over 9.5 rushing yards, and then we took Cam Peoples on the over.
and Cam Bryce or Chase Bryce over the passing yards. I think it was 260.
Should have picked Chase Bryce for fantasy score because I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it was a record.
I have fun doing the baseball because there's so many aspects of it you can do. You can not just do college football. So I enjoy just looking at the fantasy for pitchers. Put $5 down and potentially get 25 back.
Yeah. Well, and in case you don't know, we do have a promo code for Prize Picks. If you sign up today, if you sign up and it's your first time deposit and you use our code GOFG, they will match up to $100. So you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. So you got $200 to play with. Really cool daily fantasy prop bet type of thing. And like we all said, it's fun. And I mean, you don't have to bet $3-4 and win, play for $20, something like that. So it's a lot of fun. Our code's GOFG. But I do want to go around and see what players y'all think are going to have big games. I want to start with you, Jesse Grisham, if you're ready to go. You look like you might not be ready to go, Jess.
No, I'm sorry. I had to go back to it. No, I'm excited for that Georgia State, North Carolina game, and I think it's going to come down to the running game for North Carolina. So Jameis Williams, 75 yards against South Carolina. I think he gets over 100 against North Carolina. I think that we'll be saying his name next week. I'm excited to watch him. If he gets over 100 yards rushing, look out for an upset.
Tip, who you got?
I like Air Force's running back Brad Roberts. He had 8 rushes, 114 yards, and a touchdown against Northern Iowa. Yep. He had 14.3 yards per carry. And Air Force plays Colorado this week. TCU in week 1 had a lot of success running the ball against Colorado. They averaged 9.2 yards per carry and scored 4 rushing touchdowns. So I see Brad Roberts having a huge game this week for Air Force.
I like that one a lot. Murph, what do you think?
I got 2, and I'm both going to keep them with the quarterbacks. First, I want to see Rocky Lombardi. I want to see him. He had a decent game, but not of what I kind of expected him to have against that team. So I want to see him have a better game. I think he will. I think he'll step up to the challenge. And then I can't wait to see Jay Kaner, man. Jay Kaner against Oregon State, the Beavers at home. I think he lights it up. I think he gets the win.
And Jay Kaner's, they got Oregon State this weekend, and then they have USC next weekend.
At USC next week, baby. Let's run the gauntlet. Let's be undefeated.
They can beat Oregon State.
I think so.
And USC.
They need to beat Oregon State. USC.
Yeah, Tip, I'm all over Brad Roberts on that. Whatever they set his rushing yards at, I'm taking it. Also, like Jesse's boy, John Rhys Plumlee, at home versus Louisville. Syracuse quarterback Garrett Schrader threw for 237 yards against Louisville this weekend. They got Plumlee, I think it's at like 255.5.
Took me a while to catch you on that one. Yeah. Starting quarterback, I get it.
Yeah, you said he wasn't. You said
when you said that first, I was like,
what
"What are you talking about, my boy?" Yeah, bad take.
You said he was a baseball player and all this other stuff, and
he's actually.
Now, he had a
pretty good start.
Yeah. So I like him to light it up against Louisville on Friday night. I think we got a chance. But hey, guys, if you like the show, if you like what you're seeing, you want to help us fight this good fight. We got some people in Boone that are fighting it with us. We got some people at James Madison fighting it with us. We got a lot of really good fans that are jumping on board with us. So y'all make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Share this all over the place. We want to get the word out. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Interact. Call the hotline, too. We want to get this hotline rolling. Some really good calls this week, so thank you, guys. It's 615-900-4286. Leave a voicemail. Talk your trash. That's all we got for you. Another really good week of football starting in a couple of days. Group of 5 guys, we're out.